continue in the devil's pulpit. Hopefully we'll get this done within the next 2 to 3 classes. We can finish the lecture on the Redeemer. Okay? So this is the last lecture, and I just so happen, hold on. I just so happen to get my printed copy So this is the Gospel and the Stars by Seiss. The Gospel and the Stars by Seiss. And I also have, I just picked these up today. The Witness of the Stars. Can y'all see that? By Bollinger. Witness of the Stars. So I think this one is the book that Darrell-El recommended, Witness of the Stars. So I had a chance to flip through them, but I haven't scanned them thoroughly yet. I'm toying around with 2 ideas. Either do none of them, because when I went through them, I wasn't seeing anything that I wanted to discuss in terms of, you guys know I want books that are more showing etymology or supporting their arguments or presentation with etymology and philology. Now I haven't scanned through all of these yet, just the prefix and the introduction. But I'll let y'all know. But I may, if I do these, I may do them together. So for example, I'll have to see, I don't know yet. But you guys make some recommendations also regarding what books you would like for me to go over. So for example, let's say Aquarius. So I'm going to have to, let's say Libra. So here, Libra, the two scales, right? So when the sun, when the sun sun goes into Libra, it becomes known as that just one. So Christ becomes known as that just one, right? The scales, the balance scales, that just one, okay? And then, so it looks like this has everything that there is about Libra, and it goes in greater depth than the devil's pulpit about each of the zodiac signs and those constellations in their neighborhood or its deacons. So let me take, and that's the reason why I'm considering doing these, because it gives a good orientation or spatial orientation for the constellations. So let me take a look at it here. A lot of the constellations that the devil's pulpit talked about, like I just said, you'll find them here with more detail. So it will give you I'm looking for Libra. Let me just go to the table of contents. So this will give you a more complete knowledge of your study of the devil's pulpit, because the devil's pulpit author references a lot of these constellations, but he doesn't go into great detail, which these books do. Hold on, let me see. Searching for, I didn't see a table of contents. Here we are. So let's see, what chapter, I found Libra, but I don't know what chapter it's in. Oh, wow, the commercial, listen y'all, the commercial idea in Christianity. So I'm in the Gospel and the Stars by Joseph A. Seiss right now. And that got my attention. The commercial idea in Christianity. And it has the scales. Let me just read this a little bit. There are some to whom this commercial element in the system of our salvation is very distasteful and repulsive. The natural heart is prone to be offended with it and reject it altogether. Rationalism proudly asserts that sin is personal and intransferable, that the action or merit of one cannot be the action or merit of another. Let me read down a little. Give me 1 second. Sin, it reads, I'm in the last paragraph on the page 26. This is what it says, y'all. Sin is of nature of a debt. And debt may be as completely discharged. Wow, did y'all hear that? It didn't say paid. It did not say paid. And debt may be completely discharged by a friend of the debtor, as by the debtor himself. So there's a big difference, y'all, between discharging a debt, which is not payment of a debt. Okay, natural law tells us, the constitutional principle tells us that only gold and silver, according to our ancestors who followed natural law, can pay debt, can pay a debt off. So the debt remains if it's discharged. The debt remains. Sin is of the nature of bondage. Do y'all see what I've been telling y'all? Well, I'm sure it's not only me, but Christianity is what, y'all? Maritime Admiralty law. Sin is of the nature of bondage, and release from bondage is a negotiable matter and may be procured at a valuation or price. It may be procured at a valuation. Okay, how much is it worth for you? Well, this is what I think it's worth. Well, here's why I think it's worth this and that. 7 times cash flow. So I value your business at 7 times cash flow. But you can come up with anything as a valuation or price. This gonna cost you £5. It's gonna cost you £10, €100, $50, 50 cents, which may be equally paid. Now he uses the word paid by the bondman, but y'all know slaves cannot have money. Himself, but slaves do and can carry debt. Right? Which can be discharged. Okay, so paid by the bondman himself or by someone else kind enough to pay it for him. Many crimes and misdemeanors in human law have penalties dischargeable. In money consideration, which any friend of the criminal may, as truly satisfied. So y'all see where all of this, where these statutes, criminalization of the behavior and culture of men and women comes from. It's coming right out of religion, the Judeo-Christian religious system. All crimes are commercial. All crimes are commercial. The heading here reads, the commercial idea in Christianity. Christianity is bondage. Look at the title. Y'all see that? So Christianity is part of the curse. Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. Christianity is part of the escheat process, the attainder process, the curses. I hope everybody see that. You will worship gods of wood and stone, the cross, what is the stone called that the Muslims worship, etc. Doesn't have to be that. It could be any idol, just idols. But let's continue. I'm intrigued by this. Many crimes and misdemeanors in human law. Whenever you see a human, think Han Uman. Han Uman. Remove the, so Han Uman, HANUMAN. Remove the AN after the H and you get human. Hugh, colorable. Man, the colorable man. Looks like a man but doesn't have the substance of a man. What does it mean it doesn't have the substance of a man? The human is not the substance and subject matter of the law. It is non-descendable. It is not the God, the landlord on earth. It is non-descendable. It is a monster, and by law forbidden to be able to inherit. Look it up in the law dictionary. All right. So these crimes and misdemeanors, notice y'all, these are man-made crimes. Man-made crimes and misdemeanors, which is outside of nature. Everybody see that? Everybody see it? It continues, which any friend of the criminal, see, so they make up rules, and if you break it, they call you a criminal and want to lock you up and pay them. That's called kidnapping, and you need to pay them a ransom. How is it that they, let's say the human, who's non-descendable, who is not the land, is not the heir, the rightful heir of the land, how is it that they can come in and start making rules and call them laws and then tell the rightful heir of the land, the owner, that you broke a rule and now we're going to put you in jail on your own land? What kind of sense does that make? But it is done because you accept the religion, because you worship that external deity. You put yourself under their jurisdiction, and through your ignorance, you escheat, or you allow your property to be escheated by these foreigners, including your noble status. But let's keep it going, y'all. For me, this is pretty good. Okay, which any friend of the criminal may as truly satisfy as the convicted one, and as may be in the power of the convict to do. So y'all, what is this hinting at? What is this hinting at? This is hinting at the use of public policy to criminalize or oppress the autochthonous Moors. Y'all see it? Everybody see that? And to create a fiat system. Yeah, create a fiat system and put everybody in bondage through the fiat system, through the quote, through the alleged monetary system. It ain't money. Maybe we can call it a financial system. Y'all see that? Everybody see it? Now these are high-level Freemasons who are controlling the banking system and the so-called courts, the de facto courts, which they have hijacked and perverted to put everybody in bondage. Crimes depend on law. There you are. Black codes, children and family services, right? The administrative rules that they make that oppress families. Municipal codes that empower policy enforcers to just bust in your house. Why? Because you're a bond man and a bond woman, right? You're the property, the chattel of the state. Okay, crimes depend on law, for where there is no law, there is no transgression. Y'all see that? This is why following the Most High's commandments is so much easier and peaceful, no stress, than if you're in one of these religious systems. Because the essence of the Most High's commandments is don't harm anyone, including yourself, right? And respect everyone's right to contract, due process of law, etc. They're very easy to follow the Most High's commandments. Okay? So where there is no sin, there is no transgression. And law is the will of government. Law is the will of government. Well, it depends on what form of government that is, right, y'all? So it says the will Law is the will of government. So this would be a collective will because there's no such living thing as a government. So this would be a group of people coming together and exerting their will. So the will is the Hermetic masculine mental energy. Now y'all put that together. We've gone over this a million times. The will is the force of masculine mental energy, which if you or someone else has a weak masculine mental energy, meaning you don't even much know who you is, you don't know your nationality, you don't know anything about you. Y'all see it? Then that will coming from an outside source can overpower your weak will and interact with your feminine mental energy, right? Because the Hermetic law of gender is masculine and feminine energy. And then that feminine mental energy, that's most closely related to your subconscious mind. That's the me aspect of you. The me part of you is always changing. Y'all got it? So in other words, through this collective group's will, they can lay that cuckoo egg. That thought egg, those thought eggs in your mind, and thereby control you, make you become a nigger, a bitch and a hoe, a slut and a tramp, and be proud of it, and defend it. Make you agree like it's a matter of holiness and serving God that you're black, that you are a nigger, Negroes, color. And you think that that's you, but that's not you. That's not you. Okay? You didn't do anything but hatch those cuckoo bird eggs. Clear? That's why you're messed up in the mind. And in life, in many cases. Now let's continue see what this author has to say. If the government condemns in righteousness, here we go. If the government condemns in righteousness, in the same righteousness it can adjust and accept equivalent for the penalty. And there is nothing to say nay to it. So this sounds to me like he's talking about a democracy. The notions of men cannot bind the supreme. He's talking about a democracy. So from what this sounds like to me, and I haven't read the whole thing, is that this author, this book was published in 1882. Christianity promotes democracy. Y'all hear that? And even fascism. Whereas our ancient ancestors, the natural law is we are self-governing. We are self-governing. We're the gods, the landlords of the earth. We are thought made manifest from the soil. We're the substance and subject matter of the law. When we speak law. So these, say in North America, this democracy wants to take that, or has been very successful at taking that away from people. Even the Republican form of government, they've been very successful at taking that away from most people and replacing it with what? This majority rule, this authoritative democracy, which appears to be ruled by Zionists. A political party ruled by religious zealots. Of course, they don't believe anything that they promote in terms of religion, but they use the Bible as the authority for their power and for the things, the crimes that they commit. Okay? Crimes against nature and their own laws. So that's very interesting, y'all. This is very, very interesting. Because this is this is democracy. This is straight up democracy from everything I've just read. So anyway, let me put this away. So there's your Christian canon, maritime, admiralty, law stuff coming straight out of Christianity. Completely ignoring the Most High's laws. Christianity is commercial. So you can thank Christianity for all crimes being made commercial. And your fiat debt system. Okay, y'all, so let's get into the Redeemer. I wonder if I should. Nah, I'm going to keep going. I was thinking about ending the video and coming back. But let's keep going. Because I want to complete the Redeemer as fast as possible. All right, so page 322. I think it's 322, hold on. Hold on, y'all. Okay, nope. Page 300. Hold on. Excuse me. Page 333. That's a good number for me. That's very good. I feel happy about that. Okay, y'all, let's continue with the first paragraph in the middle of the page. And what sort of a wound that must be, I put it to the feelings of every man in this assembly. Whoever had such friends, or was worthy to have them, to feel for him. This is people who would give you money to pay a debt so you won't go to prison. Then too, it will be remembered that laws are of no avail if they are never to be put into execution. And the law expressly awards that the punishment for blasphemy upon a second conviction shall be transportation for life. Lock you up for life for sinning against the Holy Spirit. Y'all got that? This is in England in 1831. Lock you up for life. Life in prison. And not only that, you spend the rest of your life in prison, and then when you're dead, you burn in hell. So you get a double whammy, right? So now, while you're alive, people who experience that, while you are alive, you're sweating bullets because they've convinced you that you've sinned against the Holy Spirit. So you're a nervous wreck, no peace of mind, right? No peace, worried to death, And you're also worried and probably afraid, not probably, definitely afraid of when the day comes when your fleshly body expires. You got a one-way ticket straight to hell, where you're going to be burned and tortured and tormented for eternity. Now, what kind of holy, pious, quote-unquote, God-fearing men and women would do something like that and even make up these kind of lies that you're going to go burn in hell and be tortured and tormented, and then do everything to push the belief, create artwork, write books on it, create a whole background, a whole knowledge base on it, iconography, books, you name it, to push it. What kind of manipulative, cruel, greedy, power-hungry people would do that? Psychopaths, right? But anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. The court, however, always tempering justice with mercy and yielding to the earnest solicitations of the prosecutors themselves, to whom the defendant ought to feel himself infinitely indebted, will insist on no more than the payment of the fine of the £1,000. Y'all remember that? You can read that in one paragraph above where we started on page 333. 3 is the first perfect number. Where am I? Okay? So we'll insist on no more than the payment of the fine of £1,000 incurred upon the previous conviction. Now y'all know how they intended to get the conviction. They would sweet talk the jury, right, as the author said, and make the jury think that they just wanted to give him a little slap on the wrist. But then, after they convinced the jury to convict him, they increase the amounts that he needs to pay to get out. That's not justice, is it? But this is what they were doing. And you can be sure that they haven't changed anything today. Let's keep it going. And which they know that it is impossible that the author could pay, or anybody could pay, £1,000. Impossible. And to be further imprisoned until as long as they please, until he pays it off. Right? Until he pays it off. Okay? And that just wasn't going to happen. Go, Christian, go, and smell the sweet and wholesome air, of which God hath given the free enjoyment to everything that breathes. And then say, by God and by his everlasting truth and mercy, who are the wicked and evil disposed persons, the society for the suppression of vice, who seek to deprive him, he's talking about himself, the author, of that precious right, or the man of whom not a single member of the society can show that he ever did any wrong to any man. All right? So they want to lock this man up, even though he's innocent. Never did anything wrong. All he did was told the truth, told the origin of the Gospels, and showed the evidence. And he showed the evidence, okay, which they are not able to argue against. Why? Because he's using the etymology in the text and the philology and showing how it perfectly matches up with the astronomy and astrology and with secular and mythological history. Perfect solutions to the problem. No ambiguity at all. No 5, 10, 15 different doctrines on a subject. One solution, one astrological solution. Period. For each one. And they want to lock them up for that. Why? Because if the people find this out, there's no more money going to come into the priesthood. The industry is finished. No more dark priesthood. Peace on earth. But the clergy, the patrons of this society, say to him, that's the author, as their prototypes, the chief priests and the Pharisees of the gospel said of Christ, he have spoken blasphemy. Yeah, that's true. The chief priests and the Pharisees did say JC spoke blasphemy, he deserves to die. And the priests, the bishops, the cardinals, the bankers, the magi, the magistrates, in the author's day did the same thing to him. He has committed blasphemy. So what do we learn from this? That's the way they're going to attack you. Why? Because there's precedent for it. They're going to come after you and say you committed blasphemy. Well, if God is finished with you, certainly all the people should be finished with you. Right? You're just a dead man walking. And you're evil and wicked. Right? So they turn the people away from you so that people don't care what happens to you. They turn you into an animal, or less than an animal. So coconut. Fresh coconut water. Let me put this down. You can see inside. Can y'all see the flesh? So people eat the flesh. This is where the virgin coconut oil, if you press this or heat it, you can get the virgin coconut oil to come out. People in Philippines make fresh virgin coconut oil all the time. You can even buy it at the market. They'll do it for you at the market. In some markets, I know I bought it. Hello. Again. Hello. Yes. All right, so let's continue. And in the most literal analogy to the type of gospel, the chief priests, the clergy, and the church patrons, the congregation of this persecution society, act from the back. Act from the background. They act from the background. They strike from behind the screen, not bringing the accusation directly in their own persons, but hiring and suborning two false witnesses to report something that the author said, which they did not understand and did not wish to understand, and which being reported without any notice of what was said before or after, taking his words out of context, or in what relevancy, or to what end, the purpose of the comments. What's the context, right? They don't tell that. Might have the same appearance of strangeness and wildness as if he had said, quote unquote, destroy this temple and in 3 days I will build it up again. So what is the author telling us? The author is telling us what these evil priests, preachers, reverends, imams, rabbis, mores and moshes, you Christians and you Hebrew Israelites, you'll go and get somebody else to do your dirty work. That's what they did in JC's day. That's what they did in the Reverend Robert Taylor's day in 1831. And that's what you bastards do today. You get somebody else to go out and accuse the true preacher of righteousness, the true evangelist of the gospel. You slander him, and in many cases pay someone to do it. Take that man's comments out of context or just straight up lie. You don't tell the truth, you just straight up lie and manipulate and take it back to the clergy and said he said this and he said that, etc., etc., etc. And then the clergy will use it to get you locked up. Call the policy enforcers on you, false reports of a crime, right? Try to get you to trap yourself. Try to get you to speak connotatively, right? Y'all follow what I'm saying? Try to get you to admit that the de facto government or its corporations have jurisdiction over you, and that you accept or acknowledge their jurisdiction over you. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Right? So they try to trap you with your words and then report it back. Y'all see that? Sick the dogs on you. These magi are priests. These magi, these de facto judges, administrative clerks, are priests. They are clergymen. Okay? You didn't know it, but now you know it. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is what this author is talking about right now. This is what they did to him. And no doubt, probably thousands and tens of thousands more or others. This is the way they roll. Next paragraph, page 334. And his discourse, of which all men of science and learning who have ever heard them have even acknowledged to be most truly learned and most demonstrably scientific. Now y'all know this is 1831, so we got to take that with a grain of salt because he's talking about hybrids, right? Things were on a decline at that time. For example, you couldn't have been too scientific if you believed And they probably didn't believe it. The Darwin's work, the evolution of species, I doubt if anybody at that time believed it. It was just useful as a tool, right? They pushed it, and it took time before people accepted it. Okay, have been served up to his persecutors rather, and Lincoln's Inn, who will handle them with just as much criticism and just as much ability and disposition to understand them as might be expected for the diagrams of Euclid, talking about math, right? When submitted to the criticisms of that most genuine House of Lords, a pigsty, absolutely, unprincipled men. I have been engaged in enucleating the bright gems of science hid in the shells of religious allegory. That's all he's done. Let me say it again. I, says the author, have been engaged in enucleating the bright gems of science. Y'all hear that, you Christians and Hebrew Israelites? This book, The Devil's Pulpit, has nothing to do with religion. So stop lying, if you've been lying, telling your members and people who you have influence over that the devil's pulpit is from the devil. It is not. It's science. What science? Well, he tells you etymology, philology, astronomy, astrology, and history, both secular and mythological. The splendor of those illustrations began to flash into the dark caverns of priestly wickedness. See, these truths are light. And the lifestyle, doings and goings-ons of the priestcraft is dark. And the gospel busters, etymology, philology. Well, if I do that, I'm going to be flipping y'all. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not flipping you, but astronomy, astrology, and then the next one, history. See, the Trinity Gospel Busters. Turn the lights on. Shine the light on the wicked priestcraft. Okay? And the priest purposefully averting their eyes from the light, they ain't trying to see it. So you turn the eyes away, you also turn the ears away. They ain't trying to hear it. Right? They ain't trying to hear it because they're not going to change. But what are they going to do? They're going to go get somebody else to do their dirty work so that they can say they weren't the ones who murdered you. Somebody else did it. Oh, he hung himself. Oh, he hung himself. Y'all hear? And the priests purposely averting their eyes from the light they ain't trying to hear. This etymology and philology. Have set their dogs at me. Yeah, this people who they paid off to go spy and give a bad report, even if they have to lie or take it out of context. As well as knowing that though the light cannot be refuted, though the etymology, the philology, the astronomy, the astrology, the secular history, the mythological history cannot be refuted, it may be extinguished. You can't argue against it because the facts are the facts, the evidence are the evidence. It's there for anybody who wants to look at it. But it can be extinguished. How? Y'all see that? Or what? As they do in Vietnam, like this, like handcuffs. Handcuff you, lock you up, and then hope and pray that you experience an untimely death while you're locked up. Or cause it. So it may be extinguished, yes, in the way I just said, though they cannot answer their opponent. There is no answer to the etymology and philology, to the astronomy and astronomy, to the secular and mythological history, because it's true. It's true. Whether y'all want to accept that or not, it is true. And the Gospels are original Hermetic writings. Period. Never intended, never, ever, ever intended to be looked at as real historical occurrences. Never. It merely documented the sun's movement through the Mazzaroth and its energetic effect on the earth plane. That's it. Now, it was coded as a gospel to hide it, to protect that knowledge from the Romans. From the Romans. And y'all know Rome is the antigram of more. So it's my point of view. It's my point of view that you have the more in the higher self and the Roman in the lower self. So Christ is the more and the higher self, and the devil, the opposer to Christ, the Satan, Hashatan, is that Roman. Initially. Y'all see it? So it continues, y'all. So they set out. Well, though they cannot answer their opponent, though they could not, priestcraft could not answer the Reverend Robert Taylor based upon the evidence and using the evidence, they opted to destroy him, lock him up. See, y'all, this is why we should not be so fast to pile on and turn against our own people, even if we don't like them. Right? I can tell you one thing I learned from being overseas: even if they don't like each other, they stick together when it comes to a foreigner. They stick together. They might fight amongst themselves, but when it comes to a foreigner, even if they don't like each other, the foreigner will lose. And they will look to each other for compassion and empathy, sympathy. And you will lose, no matter how right you are. No matter how wrong they are. That's what you call nationalism. Nationalism. And pride and respect for your own. And I don't argue against it. You know, I don't argue because I can appreciate that. I see the value and the usefulness in it. I return as well as I can to the business which the text more immediately propounds, the illustration of which I hope to add another to the 1,000 proofs that the world possesses, that the prosecution against me is really none other than the war of barbarous ignorance and cruel fanaticism. Okay, so barbarous ignorance, Christianity wants to keep everybody ignorant. Why? Because an ignorant person doesn't know how things work. They don't know what money is, how money works. They don't know what law is, how law is supposed to work. So they're easy victims. He continues that the prosecution against me is really none other than the war of barbarous ignorance and cruel fanaticism, cruel religious fanaticism against intelligence and virtue. So the author is saying he's intelligent and virtuous, and I would agree with him. Another effort, may it be the last, of priestly villainy. Now how about that, y'all? How about if we start looking at all of these religious leaders as villains? How about we have a reframe the way we see these religious leaders? Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. See them and recognize them as a villain until proven otherwise. Until proven otherwise. How about that as a start to gaining your self-respect and dignity as part of the nationalization process? See, an enemy is an enemy. I think it was, what was it that Malcolm X said? I saw in an interview he did. He said, if I'm in my house, I think it was if there's 1,000 wolves or something like that, or 1,000 or 10,000 wolves or 10,000 snakes, I don't remember what it was, at his door. And out of the 10,000 rather, there were 1,000 who were good and wanted to help. He asked, should I open the door? Because it may be one of those 1,000 out of 10,000. It may be one of those 1,000 who want to help me, but 10,000 want to see me dead. Am I responsible? Is it a responsible, reasonable, intelligent thing for me to open that door? Obviously, the answer is no. Obviously, no. But that's my opinion. If a person is a preacher, a pastor, he's a villain until proven otherwise. He is against his people until proven otherwise. Why? Because of the long history. Am I saying he's a villain? No. No, let him prove he's not. Give the people all their money back. Tell the people the truth about the origin of the Gospels. Right? Show works of repentance. Show works of repentance. Teach the people that they are Moors. Not black, not African American, not Indian. And here's the other thing, I don't even want to get off into that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Now that's just my opinion. It's been my experience that the religious people have been the absolute worst people you could ever imagine to meet. The biggest liars, the biggest deceivers, the biggest crooks, the biggest manipulators, the biggest false friends have been religious people. Okay? So a priestly villainy to prevent the diffusion of knowledge. See, show works of repentance. Tell the truth about the Gospels. They're astrotheology. And you are worshiping what y'all been taught is the devil. And you're worshiping the stars and the heavenly bodies. And that all of this stuff come up out of Egypt. And there is no historical Jesus who ever walked on earth, who ever even took one footstep or breathed in or inhaled one breath of air, let alone put on a pair of shoes or sandals. All right, y'all? And to perpetuate the reign of superstition and madness among men. I watched a clip from George Carlin talking about how religion has the biggest, what did he call it? The biggest crock of BS. I don't remember what it was. But he says that they got the people believing that there's a man in the sky watching every move you make, right? And when you make a mistake, he's going to put you in hell, burn you, torture you. Well, first, before you even die, he's going to ruin all your plans, right? Whatever you do, this deity who's been watching you, he's going to destroy all your relationships, make you fail at everything, all the time while you're living. And then when you die, he's going to send you to hell and burn you and torture you. But, George Carlin says, but he loves you. And that's really true, right? This is the story that they tell. But unfortunately, the moral of the story has ever been that part of it which Christians in all ages have been, of all men in the world, least disposed to attend. I skipped a paragraph. Let me go back up. Independently of the sublime astronomical science, veiled under the allegory of a crucified Savior. Okay, why is that? Well, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, wanted to preserve the knowledge of astronomy because the Catholic Church was going around exterminating all of the autochthonous scientists, engineers, astronomers, physicians, etc. That's why they did it. Okay? That's why they wrote this veiled or encoded story. Okay? Independently of the sublime astrological science, veiled under the allegory of a crucified Savior, the allegory discovers in innumerable episodes and underplots subordinate to the main design, an earnest effort on the part of the allegorist to attach a moral corollary to their gospel. So in describing metaphorically the sun's motions, movement each year through the Mazarah, they added some moral, some stories having to do with morals into it. Okay? But they never said that these were real people. It was all just allegory. But unfortunately, the moral of the story has ever been that part in which the Christians in all ages have been, of all men in the world, least disposed to attend to. The Christians, the clergy, they don't follow the morality or the moral code written into the Gospels. They ain't doing that. They're telling the masses, they're telling the people on the outside of the house, follow this moral code. But they got a whole different moral code that they follow. Y'all got it? Remember, those verses, the Gospels have double, triple, and even quadruple meanings. And even more. So that it is hard to say whether the science of the gospel has been more above their understanding or its moral opposed to their conduct. Let's just call a spade a spade. They are just wicketed. They're just wicketed, right? They wouldn't do good if they got paid to do good. Huh? Y'all heard me? Why? Because they have a bad nature. Let me not say bad nature. Let me not be judgmental. Because a hybrid, the hybrid's genome is chimpanzee and man. So they have an animalistic nature. I mean, it's like getting mad at a cat for being a cat or a fish being a fish. You can't get mad. You can't get mad at a dog being a dog. A dog pee on your tires. You can't get mad. That's what dogs do. If a dog wants to growl at you or bite you because you try to take his bone, you can't get mad because that's the nature of a dog. Right? Or let's say there's a bird. You open the cage and the bird flies out and flies away. You cannot get mad at the bird. Why? Because the nature of a bird is to fly and do its thing, freedom. You can't get mad at anything or anybody because that's their nature. Right? That's their nature. Would you get mad because the birds chirp in the morning? No, the nature of a bird is to chirp in the morning. Would you get mad at an owl because he hunts rats and mice? Well, he hunts mice. What rats do? Would you get mad? No, that's the nature of an owl. Islam to all the Moors. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. I need to relax, y'all. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I'm still not. Y'all can probably hear it in my in the sound of my voice. I'm still congested and difficulty breathing, so I feel tired. Anyway, Islam to all the Moors. Thanks everyone for your support. Those of you who, hello, hi there. Those of you who have bought my books, that makes me feel especially good. Those of you who have donated to my project to write the Book of the Law in Ancient Ibaryath and modern English, easy to understand English, faithful to the original meaning of the text, and also restoring the astronomy and astrology, restoring the Hermetic laws, restoring the constitutional principles, etc. Read the description area of the video. I have more information about what will be in the Book of the Law. Okay, but I need to get wide or broad support from our people because it's a big project. It's a really, really big project for one person, for one man. Let me say it that way. Okay, y'all go on your favorite version of the Bible's website. Look at their translation team. Notice it is a team. And they're not starting fresh. They're not starting fresh with a whole new version. They have a team that meet together and discuss, particular verses. If they're going to change the meaning, it's a team. But it's a big job. All right, so I need wide support for that. Thanks everyone who has subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. The link is in the description area of this video. Everybody's welcome. Y'all come to the Saturday 506 The Curses course. All right, it's on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You ain't got to pay to come. You just show up. And we're going to do what we do here, except for we're using Deuteronomy chapter 28. What you scared of? Why ain't you come to class? Or is it because the invitation is free? And people don't usually value things as free. There's a lot of truth in that. I remember when I taught the 911 Ibaryath Rescue class, maybe 2019, 2018, I don't remember when it was. But man, some of the people and personalities that came in, because the class was free, all you had to do was buy the book. And some people really, back in the 90s, we used to say somebody would show out. Yeah, people in there showing out. Just showing out. But that was a good class. I mean, overall, it was just some few people who really showed out. I mean, like super showed out. Any of y'all who know me from back in those days, y'all know what I'm talking about. There's one cat who tried to steal my class, steal my school. That happened like 2-3 times, y'all. I think what I do looks easy, right? But when you anyway, no need to go down memory lane on that. But y'all, I just want to say with sincerity, thank you for your support, and continue to support my work. It means a lot to me. It makes me feel appreciated. Plus, it helps me. I would like to upgrade. I like to have a studio, right, and the proper camera equipment. I like to pay somebody to do video editing, get all of the images, of the constellations in the locations according to the Devil's Pulpit and whichever other book we're going to use, so y'all can see them, so we can see them, and have it just a very professional presentation. But of course, I'm not going to do that out of my pocket. It has to be evidence that the people want it. And that evidence is going to come through whether or not you buy my books, donate, and it has to pay for itself. Otherwise, it's me paying for something and there's no market for it. That's not intelligent. What do they say? That's throwing good money after bad. But y'all see my point. And right now, the channel, the subscribers are growing. But it's still slow, right? It's still slow. YouTube still has the brakes put on my channel. But it would be helpful if y'all would comment more, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, y'all. Go ahead and subscribe. Don't cost you nothing. What you waiting on? You don't want to see this channel gain more subscribers? and reach more people, what in the world are you waiting on? So like the videos, all of these things are supposed to activate or cause YouTube's algorithm to distribute your videos to more people. Anyway, Islam to all the Moors, Shalom.